Hey everyone, welcome back to New JANG City, and specifically the little part of the city that has my classic zoo. I first started working on this in 2013, and this is a very special time right now because all this is going away. I'm going to be getting rid of all of this and rebuilding it into a larger, much larger, and more interesting and more modern and more lively space. I'm very excited about this. I've been looking forward to it for quite a long time. But before I start tearing anything apart, I wanted to give you one last good look at my 2013 to 2014 LEGO Zoo and Aquarium. This whole thing was designed and built to fit into a specific and limited size and shape of space in my original LEGO city, which was in a different house. I did slight modifications in 2016, but otherwise what you're looking at here is the original design that has just been adapted to fit into this space in my newer layout. Let's get in closer and take a look at the individual exhibits and attractions, and what better place to start is there than the entrance. I wanted to give the entire thing a jungly kind of feel, so I made sure that there were wood tones and lots of fake foliage, and a typical person's visit would start at this recovered wood ticket office with just space for one employee inside. Next, you'd go through the turnstiles where you'd be greeted and offered up a handheld radio unit that would work with the self-guided tour system. For our tour in this video, we're first going to go to the left here, which brings us by the food shack. It's a small structure, but they have a lot of options for you. Inside, two employees are working side by side, and there are little details like a fridge and a stove and a microwave. Outside, there's a little bit of seating space, and it looks like one patron is mad because he didn't get his ketchup to go with his fries. Let's rotate around to the largest open-air exhibit at this zoo. This was originally inspired by African plains, though you will quickly see that some of these animals did not come from any African plains. It was a matter of inspiration, and from there I just let things roll naturally, or unnaturally. Some of these things are custom built, custom designs. Some of them are from LEGO Friends, some from older LEGO themes. I just mixed things together however felt right to me at the time. There's also a little study group here that's being led by a zoo employee, because though there's obviously a focus on animals at a zoo, I also wanted to consider the activities of minifigs. From the biggest enclosure, we move over to one that's obviously too small for this custom male lion that I built. Again, I was very limited in size when building this entire space, so I had to be creative and not necessarily consider the needs of real animals. Fortunately, these are made of plastic. The next enclosure is the bear pen, which has now a mama bear and a cub. Looks like we've arrived at feeding time too. I built up the backgrounds of these enclosures to try to make them feel a little bit bigger than they really are and a bit more immersive as viewed by the minifigs. Looks like it's working for at least that adult back there. He's genuinely scared. Behind him is the small penguin exhibit, which was the last thing to be added to this zoo. This has two different species of animals in there, and it's obviously a climate-controlled environment, very icy. Moving over to the next standalone exhibit, this one can be walked around a full 360 degrees. It was also designed to be easily pulled out by us huge figures so we can better see the animals inside. Here you see one monkey, two apes, and one very rare and expensive lemur. Returning to the back wall, this space was inspired by the Nile Delta, so I have a very funky looking custom hippopotamus and a couple of old school crocodiles or alligators that I call crocogators. Opposite that is the aviary, my personal second favorite exhibit in the entire zoo. This is another one that can be viewed 360 degrees all the way around. It is fully clear, and you can also pull the whole thing out to get a better look at the birds inside. You can see that most of these are just different variations and colors of LEGO parrots that have been made over the years, but I also got some owls in there. There's a crow or a raven, and also a few custom-built birds. I personally was a big fan of birds growing up. I thought that I was going to be a professional ornithologist when I grew up, so this has a lot of tie-ins to just things that I really enjoyed as a kid and still enjoy to this day. Turning the corner down this narrow corridor, there are actually 4 separate displays along the wall there. Unfortunately, there's just not enough space to get even a small camera down in here, but you can just barely see that there are 4 snakes here divided into 2 separate areas. The last two enclosures at the end are of the same shape and size, but at least here you can get down to see what's inside. That's a very strange animal on the left, but on the right is simply a chameleon. Spinning around to the other side, this is the entomology wing, an add-on structure that's marked by a life-sized model of an ancient mega insect. There are a few more large models like that inside, but unfortunately here again the living exhibits are a little bit difficult to catch on camera, like these two separate areas to show different colors of LEGO original spider designs. A couple stacked terrariums here with ladybug beetles up top and a giant ant in the tank down below you can just barely see. And on the other side, a couple slices of the desert in glass cases with scorpions on display, dark red up above, and you can just barely see the black one below. Next up, the aquarium. Like the entomology building, this was designed to be an add-on in-universe, something that would have been appended to the zoo maybe years, even decades after its initial opening. For me, setting this space up was all about maximizing variety and the sense of wonder for minifigures experiencing this from their level. I cared a bit less about what I or you would see or think, and more about the perspective and viewing angles of the visitors. I did, however, use some removable modules in the main structure for easier future maintenance and upgrades. I also modeled a thin translucent water surface to give that nice glow when lit from above. With that removed, most of the illusion and magic goes away. As you can see, the animals are just suspended in midair on clear stands and such. Now, I did use quite the motley assortment of animals and decorations in here. Again, really focusing on variety and also trying to make this very colorful. The orca whale is a baby from the Duplo line. I again used some animals from the then new Friends line. Some older LEGO system stuff. I used some of the Atlantis theme monsters and took them from their humanoid forms back into more of a pure animal form, and also did some custom soft and hard coral, as well as a couple of custom jellyfish. Now this is a rare view around the back of the aquarium. In its original location, this was at the very edge of a table, and the implication was that we were seeing a cutaway of the building, that there was more of this exhibit to be seen beyond the edge of the table. Since the move, what was originally easiest to see by just walking straight up to it became relatively hidden. So I'm glad I was able to get a small camera in there to share these shots with you before everything changed again. The final stop on this tour will be the small structure with the dark red roof right by the exit, and that is of course the gift shop. This has mostly plush animals in it. You can see a manta on the wall in the back. In the foreground is an elephant and a giraffe. There's a hippo on the right, an orca suspended from the ceiling above the checkout register. Got a fake parrot over here, some flowers, some booklets and books down the center aisle, and just other various nature-related knickknacks for visitors to take home. If you're wondering where the restroom was, well, it's right here in my hand. I built this thing as small as possible for the original location of the zoo, but it was a casualty of the move. There was just barely not enough space to fit it into the new layout. And that's it. That's my original LEGO Zoo with, at last count, over 75 animals displayed in 13 distinct areas. You know, I don't spend that much time looking at the details of stuff that I've built in the past, and that's part of the problem and one of the reasons that all this needs to change. I personally need to be able to enjoy this stuff more, and just this layout as it is right now just isn't that conducive to getting down there with the animals, with the minifigures, and seeing what the minifigures can see, you know, and really enjoying it from that miniature world sort of perspective. So there's a lot of stuff here that I'm definitely going to miss. You'll probably see some of these things in some ways preserved. Possibly some of the animals will be brought over. You might see some of the same employees. You might see some of the same concepts, but so much of this definitely needs to change. And, you know, I've learned a lot about how to build with LEGO also since this time when I made this, and I have a lot more space available. I have more pieces available to me. More pieces have been created. You know, LEGO actually makes more different and interesting parts that let you do things that you couldn't do back in these days. And yeah, it is definitely time, and I am looking forward to taking maximum advantage of that time and this opportunity. So many thanks to all of you who have enjoyed this over the past. The original tour video for this, even though it was missing the gift shop, had millions of views on it, and that's not going away. But all of this now physically is, and it's going to be a fun project, a challenging project, but I'm going to bring you along for the ride, and I think you're going to enjoy it, because I'm definitely going to enjoy it. I'm going to make sure of that, and I'm going to share all the major steps along the way right here on this channel. So thanks for watching this last tour of my zoo. I'll talk to you again soon.